I have animated fire, water, and wind in 10 hours each. But now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle, which is Earth. People have suggested I do a rock slide for this, among other things, but my mind can't really comprehend how to do that. So what I think I'm gonna do is an Avatar earthbending kind of styled thing. But nevertheless, I am animating Earth in 10 seconds, then 1 minute, then 10 minutes, then 1 hour, and lastly 10 hours. I don't think the first couple are gonna look any good, but we might be surprised. Let us begin. Well, I've actually been pondering for quite a bit on how to animate Earth in 10 seconds. I landed on just having a rock land on the floor and break in half. Rock, clump of dirt, who can say? And my 10 seconds starts now. Got enough rock. It's falling, it's getting really big. It's breaking in half. It's kind of lagging right now. Why is it getting smaller? Oh. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Well, probably could have gone better, but it kind of looks like a breaking, falling rock. I don't know if you could tell what this is if you came across it randomly, but knowing that it's a chunk of Earth animated in 10 seconds, I think it's fine. Now, 1 minute. Well, despite having 6 times as long, I don't think I can animate a convincing earth-bending animation in that time. So I'm gonna have a rock falling again. Hopefully it just looks better, and maybe I'll add some little dust effects. Yeah. 1 minute, go. All right, what's this rock shape? It is a weird rock shape. I'll try and redraw it. I could copy paste it, but that's not very fun. Landing, I guess I'll have it start to crack. There's some little like speed trails, I don't know, yeah. Maybe a marginal bounce happening and some little debris coming off. 1 minute is not long, I have to remember that. Okay, that is landing on the floor. I don't really have any dust effects going on. I'll try and add some. Okay, that didn't really happen. It's probably gonna look better. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, that looks kind of interesting. I don't know what kind of physics that is, or like what would just break in half like that. I guess you get kind of the vibe of a dust cloud via those very few lines. It kind of works. And then the tiny, minuscule pebbles. I think that adds to it. Okay, 1 minute Earth. Not too shabby, I guess. Okay, so that 1 minute animation didn't have the best aura. But you know what does? The sponsor of today's video, Aura. It's a really important time to be talking about them because hackers may have stolen the social security numbers of every American. Over 2.9 billion records were stolen from national public data, which offers personal information to employers, private investigators, staffing agencies, and others doing background checks. These stolen records include a person's full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and phone number along with alternate names. And members of this hacker group have reportedly released this information for free online. That is messed up and honestly leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So if you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, this is your wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. But there's no need to worry if you sign up for Aura. Aura alerts you if they find your phone number, email, or social security number on the dark web. They're gonna let you know fast if anyone tries to use this information to access your credit or bank accounts. And they give you up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst case scenario happen. They also provide a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one app. You can go to my link, aura.com/sciencesandwich to try 14 days for free. That'll be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. I highly recommend you do this right now because national public data is not going to do anything to help you. So if you don't want to leave yourself and your family vulnerable to data breaches, go to aura.com/sciencesandwich to try 2 weeks for free. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring. Let's get back to animating the Earth. Okay, so now I'm gonna have a rock burst out of the earth, earthbending style, I guess. I don't know if I will also have a person, probably a stick man, stomp on the ground, make it burst out. I'll animate the rock first and all the effects. If I have time, I'll also add this little dude. Alright, and go. So first of all, I just gotta draw a rock shape. I don't like that one. Okay, that's good enough. Get a little bit of shading. Just little divots Okay, I should really spend less than a minute on this. That's my time limit. Okay, good enough. Convert that to a symbol so I can classic tween it. So I'm just gonna have it move up. Doesn't need to change shape or anything. 100 easing. Seems about right. Right, I gotta have it actually start at the off screen. Okay, smoke or dust. Let's have it start off like this. It's like a big boom. Try and get a dust shape. Have it kind of rise up. So the rising is kind of slowing down. I'll have it slowly disappear doing this or something. This is probably gonna look very bad, but I'm just gonna try and make something passable. I have to do the little rocks, the little pebbles as well. What the? Oh no. How's this looking? Oh, it looks weird. I need to remove some of these frames. They were just pointless. Okay, now I'm just having it little bits. Okay, rocks. Mini rocks. Have these tiny little pieces flying off. Are they gonna fall down because of gravity? God, gotta keep track of what is even happening. These little ones are bouncing off the floor. This one just landed. Alright, let's have a stickman. Oh, I should move the entire thing left. Stickman, he's gonna be standing here like this. Okay, good enough. He gets ready to stomp. The longest freaking legs. What should his arms even be doing? That's weird. Okay. Gotta have a little bounce back. He'll just rise up a little tiny bit. It actually might be almost acceptable. I have a little bit of in-betweens. Okay, it goes like this. Oh god, 1 minute left. I'm gonna add some bigger rocks to the debris pile thing. Where does the time go? Okay, 2 big chunks. 50 seconds, I can manage that. Okay, they're heavy, they're falling very fast. That'll probably work. I'll have this break in half, that'll be fun. That'll do for that. Maybe I can add a tiny bit of lighting to these big rocks. Oh, just add it on the first few frames. Okay, this is gonna be a weird one, but let's see. That doesn't look too bad. Yeah, better than I thought it would be. The big rock on the right disappears. If I just clear this one frame, let's just cheekily do that. It kind of fixes it. It could be considered cheating, but really all I did was undo work that I did, so it should have been faster. The stomp works pretty well. Nice impact. It seems like the different rocks are following different laws of gravity, but that's okay. Yep, pretty good. A little rough around the edges, but this is a good starting point for what I might do for the hour. So let's move on to the next one, see what I can muster up. We're gonna have a similar setup here with the guy stomping a big piece of earth out of the ground. At first I was thinking of having a full-bodied character, but I later switched that to a stickman because there's no time for that. The rock drawing is a bit more fine-tuned this time, but it's going to be the same masking and motion tweening to get that out of the ground. And with that done, it's time to work on the dust effects. I like to draw a spiky, violent first frame, and then have these cloud shapes rise up before slowing down, shrinking, and breaking apart. Now I'm going to have a couple of big rocks fly out. I'm drawing them frame by frame to make it feel more interesting and perhaps 3D. Also just a small bounce on the landing. After that, a few tiny rocks doing the same thing, and then even tinier ones sort of exploding off and disappearing. But to give it more depth, I'm adding highlights to the bigger rocks. The earth portion is looking pretty good now, so I'll turn this guy into a scratchy stick figure and have him stomp on the ground. Having the leg up really high makes it feel more impactful. I'm also not using many frames on the way down and doing a quick smear effect. Now you can see I played with the idea of having him physically kick the rock away, but abandoned that and made it just some kind of force with the hand. So I just had the rock motion tween off screen and added some small trailing effects. With a quick impact effect on the stomp, animating was done. Now I can spice up the background with a more detailed ground and some distant hills and clouds. So that's my 1 hour earthbending, I suppose. Pretty similar to 10 minutes. I think it looks alright. Not really sure why I did this scribbly look for the stick man. I mean, I suppose it's just so I don't have to accurately draw each line. Well, it makes it a little more unique, I guess. I think the smoke clears a little fast. Probably just add a few more in-betweens and slow that down, but not too upset about that. Not super into the way I did the dirt on the ground, but it at least fits with the art style. Alright, now let's see what I can put together with 10 hours. The first part of this is the same idea again, but I'm going to have a big piece of earth on each side, starting with a stomp and then a slap. I drew the rocks in a similar way, then moved on to animating the dust. With all this time on my hands, I can smoothen it out and hopefully it'll look real nice. I could probably get away with copy-pasting one animation, but it's better and more organic to make two, I think. Gonna have some big chunks come off it like last time, just paying closer attention to the shapes and timing. And of course some small pebbles too. I made the character a stickman again so I can focus more on the movements and overall animation. Here I'm animating the stomp and slap to bring those rocks out of the ground. I made him do a backflip off this one rock onto the top of the other just as a cool way to get him up there. Then a force kick to get the right one off screen. You might notice I'm using the same head the whole time and a more consistent body. I animated a full dust cloud for the rock movement, and the small rocks kinda drag away with it. With an empty patch on the ground, he can lift up a big wide chunk of earth, with the usual dust and stones. I also made it bob up and down a bit at the top, before easing into position. Let's just ignore the fact that there should be giant craters left behind. Now I'll have him tear this thing in half with his earthbending skills. Then he can jump onto it and make some sort of staircase. So now he's just lifting the other half up and we'll see the giant cliff that's been just out of sight this whole time. He's gonna handspring all the way up just to be cool again. At this point, I was trying to figure out how I wanted everything to loop. I initially thought of destroying all the previous rocks and having him jump back down, but it didn't make much sense and I wasn't really sure how to demonstrate that in a good way. What I ended up doing was having a slope on the other side of the cliff that he'll slide down to get back to the start. That was a challenge in itself because I had to line up all the background elements back to where they started. But I used the cliff to hide the view of the background changing positions and some markers to line up everything while the camera was moving. Now to sort out what the main character is doing. He'll walk across before sliding down and flying off this mini ramp at the bottom, landing exactly where he started. One thing that was suggested for this video was a plant growing, and I wanted to include that in some way. So as he walks across, we have a bunch of small plants sprouting behind him. I think that actually makes sense story-wise. He builds these rocks to climb up the cliff and create life before moving on to the next one. Here I'm just building on the slide animation and having a trailing dust effect. Now to draw a background in Photoshop. I'm just going to do a more textured ground and sky, then some of the mountains and tree. The last stretch is adjusting the earth colors, fine-tuning some of the animations, and a couple of effects. Well, that is my 10-hour animation of Earth. Pretty cool, I think. Maybe I spent a little too much time on the parkour aspect of this thing and not enough on the Earth, but I think it was a reasonable balance. I don't really have any complaints about this personally. Of course, some things here and there could be ironed out or enhanced, but I think I did an alright job. And now I've done all 4 elements, so what's next? I don't know. There's a bunch of 10-hour animations I have on a list I want to do, but you can always suggest more. So I hope you liked these animations or learned something, or at least had a good time. Well, I'll see you in the next video, and until then, have a nice week.